I'm Jelle.
Hi, I'm Gerben. So Jelle, today you're going to tell us something about Azure OpenAI services.
Yes, that's correct. So they've been out for a while, but when they started getting big, I believe both you and I were very busy having parental leave. So yeah, we never came to discussing this on the show. So I thought, let's do a big recap. A quick recap maybe, not a big one, and I'll show you something exciting and new that's currently in preview with Azure OpenAI. So have you done something with Azure OpenAI?
I have done something, but not with OpenAI. not with Azure OpenAI services.
So do you know what it is?
I assume what it is. So it enables us to use some of the new the new AI service, but then in a more service way API or
so
something.
Basically, OpenAI, you know, the one behind ChatGPT, we were in Microsoft OpenAI, kissy, very big and friendly. And what we've got here is basically we had the Azure AI services. They were known as the Azure Cognitive Services, like with the vision and the speech and the text. So they've added a type of then cognitive service, now AI service, which is called Azure OpenAI, which is, well, you could discuss whether that's actually correct naming, because this is clearly some form of language service, so you might throw it all on the language.
Yeah.
But it's
Azure AI services, why?
But this is the large language model as a service in Azure. So a lot of people, I think, may have already played around with this. And if you haven't, but you have played around with ChatGPT, then you have played around with the functionality.
Yeah,
so everyone should know what this does. I hate that I have to bring up ChatGPT in every single talk, but it is basically, it has defined how we think about large language models, I think.
Yeah, but everybody knows what you mean with it, so I think that's...
That's
fine.
So it's fine. So what we have in Azure is Azure OpenAI, where you can leverage certain language models, and you can... they're usually pre-trained, and they're very similar to the offerings that you can find in ChatGPT. So there's also a very cool codex. There's DALL-E, so like code-specific, image-specific. It's really cool. It is not everywhere. So currently, I believe DALL-E is only in, I think, East US.
Okay. So it's not all regions.
So you'll need to create your OpenAI service in certain regions if you want to leverage certain models. And when we started with OpenAI in Azure, there was like a huge queuing line where you had to sign up, you had to wait, you had to be approved, you had to make your case that you were going to use this responsibly and what you were going to use it for. There's this queuing mechanism is still there.
So it was really manual approval process.
Yes, but when I signed up for it at the start, it was like, I believe I had to wait for a month, and then I had to re-sign up to use the latest GPT-4 model. But by now, I've heard colleagues say that they had to wait within one business day.
Okay.
So if you sign up for this in Azure, you'll leverage pretty quickly. And it basically allows you to do all kinds of cool stuff that you could do with ChatGPT, but in a programmatic way.
Yep.
So that's cool. But you're leveraging the models and the knowledge of the OpenAI models. So how are you gonna integrate that with your services? So let's be quick about it. So there's some ways where you can have users interact with a large language model without immediately giving them total and full access to a large language model with all the problems that could have. But you have some suggestions from Azure, from Microsoft itself, where like, well, translate speech to text to input to a prompt to output, etc. You can use translate to text service to put any kind of language in, translate it to English, use that as a prompt, because still English is the main AI language, and you'll get something back. You can translate to anything. So there's a lot of ways where you can interact with this using other cognitive or AI services. So it's really fun.
So then you're plugging into those services, and they then plug into Azure OpenAI service. Or do you interact directly with?
You'll have to architecture it yourself. So you'll have to set it up in a way where this service has output, calls that service, etc., etc. Basically, you connect API endpoints in a way where you're making sure that users are serviced, but not in a manner that you're gonna be
putting some guardrails to put them in the right.
So I spoke about Azure Content Safety some while back. So stuff like that, that's still the case. But I think the main concern here is large language models are not especially pricey. You pay per token. There's a token cap, stuff like that. But if I let users just go all out on my models, or worse, I let bots all out on my models, I'm not gonna have a good day.
Yeah.
So there's some concerns you may have, but it's very, very powerful. But it's powerful in a way where I'm like, I would like something more, which is good because
like more power. Okay.
That's what we're talking about. So you know this service, I assume.
Cognitive Search. Yep.
Yes. So basically, a AI-powered search optimization where you can just have input. You say, I want my content in this case. I want Azure Cognitive Search to make that really, really searchable, and then I can interact with the database that is optimized for searching. That's also really powerful, and I think that almost anyone can feel where I'm going with this, but I'm gonna say it out loud anyway. So you could, of course, combine those two, where you have some content, you let Cognitive Search integrate, index, create factorized, whatever. You can make it really optimized for searching, and then you put a language model in front, and you go, please interact.
You're using your own data or the stuff that you put into those.
A user can use natural language to query a database optimized for searching with any of your content, which is cool. There's some security risks there depending on your content, but it's really, really, really powerful. There's a lot of applications which, in the end, come down to users need to look up data and or maybe store some data as well, but in this flow we're mostly concerned with looking up data, and we are building giant applications currently to optimize that kind of searching. We're doing all kind of business logic and filtering,
ordering, everything. Now you can do it with a natural language,
which you can just black box and have users interact with it in a very natural. We're talking about AI, a very human way. I want to know more about the company's customers. Can you tell me about the 3 biggest customers, please?
Yeah, order them by something. Or
yes, and it will order them by is a very developer way of talking. I want to know the 3 biggest customers, and I want to know about the customers that my boss will think are very important. Very natural language. Cognitive Search in combination with your OpenAI large language models will make something of that. And they will, the OpenAI models are also very good at explaining what they've translated your prompt to. So they're, sure, I can do that for you. I will show you, etc., etc. So really cool stuff. But it does mean that we need to leverage some stuff if you would want to make this work. Now, of course, I am going to show you that you still need all the ingredients, but there's actually some more integration. So what you were specifying, like, I can just combine those and they'll run jointly with, for example, the translation service. That was not the case there. That is currently now in public preview for this combination of services. So that's really cool. All right, we are looking at a Azure OpenAI resource in Azure. This is, I've called it the perfect name, the Betabit large language model service. And you can interact with this resource, of course, programmatically, but because we are doing a live demo, why not show the studio? Because Microsoft seems to be working a lot with studios, which really helps my job as someone who likes to show things. So,
and what I'm really curious about how you select all those different services. So, I mean, you have one resource here in Azure.
Yeah, so I've created all the services up front. Okay. But you can easily also create them on the fly while working with it. So I also have a Cognitive Search service here. I can show you how to create one, but if you don't know, just create one and it will really explain itself. Yeah. You can use any of the typical ways of creating stuff in Azure, but it's really it's not hard.
Yeah. And you preloaded it with some data.
Yeah, the magic happens here. We are now in the OpenAI studio, so the studio of the OpenAI service. Normally what we would do, and what I have been playing around with a lot, is we can use a template for a system message. So a system message is basically the large language model, let's call it nature. So this is what I am. I am a, well, that's a great job, a JSON formatter. I'm not going to update it, but a JSON formatter assistant. That sounds like a terrible, terrible entry on your resume, but that's a system message, and then I could immediately deploy this model. I could try to interact with it. But this is new. This is a new tab. It's really shiny. It says preview. I'm so excited. So what we can do here is add a data source. So instead of just leveraging the large language model from OpenAI, which has a data source, it's a giant data source. It's basically the data source, almost everything that I could ever want, but it's not your personalized data source. So stuff that's specific to your company is probably either not in it, or it is also, you can find it, you can locate it in Bing or Google. And usually stuff that you want your customers to interact with, your users, that's actually not known to most large language models.
Most times private data.
That's private data. But I can add my private data here. So let's add a data source. All right. I'm gonna, if I already have some data in blob storage or in cognitive search, I can use that. But I'm gonna upload some files. Then I need to select the subscription. So all your resources do have to be in the same subscription. Yeah. Let's use the OpenAI storage. We need to have a cognitive tier, cognitive search resource. So I have two, but if I select this one, it will say, yeah, the free tier is not supported. Clever bastard. So I need to pay some money actually for this demo. So luckily the service
so you can see that they integrate services to make the data in a format that the OpenAI services can use.
So I have done nothing. I've created storage, done nothing with it. I've created a cognitive search, done nothing with it. And the only thing I need to enter is an index name, which also doesn't mean anything until I create a name, and then it has meaning. So if I, let's say, my new index name, that's perfectly fine. I could add vector search, which is, I'm not going to get into the details, but that's powerful. You could use that. I would say play around with it, but
but that's actually how the original model is used, right?
Correct.
Words are made into vectors and then searched for their likelihood.
Yes, so I'm just using traditional indexing. I need to acknowledge that connecting...
Does it take more time if you say add vector? Does it take some time to generate?
Yes, it will take some additional time, yes. But only in the startup. So the end result will be probably faster actually. So I need to acknowledge that I know that making that searching costs money. So in Dutch we have the one where the loaning money costs money. This one is also really obvious, but I'll acknowledge that. And if I click next, this is where it will ask me to find my files, and I can just select any kind of file. I can go with text files, markdown file, HTML. I can do PDFs. I can even do, I would not advise this, but I can do PowerPoint. So for those companies that have all their knowledge captured in PowerPoints, you can use that. So I am going to select my absolute favorite blog series, which is my blog series. It's on software quality. And I'm going to just add all these files here. And I'm going to select them, and I'm going to say, whew,
upload them.
That's my, so this is not a big data source, but that's for demo purposes. Yeah, it's very powerful because it will only know this. So they have been successfully uploaded. If I now click next, it will have some data management. Yeah, I need to search by keyword because I have not allowed for factorized search.
Okay, so if you allow for factorize, then it would have a factorize.
I have more choices. I have uploaded 10 files, and that's correct because my blog series is 10 files. You can find it, look for it. Thank you. Let's just save and close this one. And now it will ingest. So this is the process. If I enable vectorization, this will take a bit longer. But the process for these files that I've selected, I think I can fill the time by mentioning that you can still do all the other OpenAI services configuration, even if you've enabled this private data.
Yeah, so I can model and
I can increase randomization. I can increase or decrease the amount of tokens that will be sent, which will increase the memory, basically, of my large language model. And I can also still immediately when I'm in the studio say, I would like to know what kind of code I'm actually working with under the hood, which could maybe really easily create an application for you. So currently, I don't think...
What kind of code is this? Is this a prompt or is this just...
So basically you can just select your kind of code. So
okay.
Basically, what I'm going to do in the chat is a chat prompt. I could also try to do a completion prompt. And this is basically how you would connect. Instead of using this chat, you can also write the code. I would advise to actually also, create those resources in Azure using Bicep, whatever ARM. If you are just interested in talking with the API, because in the end, that's what this is. It's an API that you can deploy. So now I can start asking this chat questions about my blog series. I'm so happy about this. So I'm using a character in the blog series who is called Alex. And Alex is a fictional software engineer. This is not something that ChatGPT will ever be able to answer you, because they don't know.
Because even has hallucination is just from your data.
Yes. So no, that's a great question. It will still have hallucinations if I start asking it questions that are not there. So that's what we were talking about. You need to have your infrastructure up to date. So if you are recognizing hallucinations, you should maybe provide something else. Yeah. Because if I ask it who is Gerben, I'm pretty sure I'm not mentioning you in my blog series.
It will make something up.
Oh wow! Okay. Well, we're very happy. I love this feature. I don't know. Thank you, large language model.
So does it also mean that you cannot use the large language model normal features? That it will only work on your data, or?
Yes, I've restricted these large language models to just this data source, which is usually what you want. Because I don't want my users to just use this as they would use ChatGPT. This is just for finding, in this case, information about my awesome blog series. So if I ask it a question like...
Yeah, but it will still use the LLM information to make up English language, sentence, etc., everything, but not the factional data.
What are some concerns regarding... I don't know why I tried to type correctly to a chatbot, because it doesn't care. What is concerning code quality? Please. Very important. This will now try to pair it. Yes, this is a completion call failed. Please try again. Thank you. So
try again.
Retry is also very important. Maybe it's a double question, actually. I'm not sure. No, there we go. So here's some concerns that I have specified. You'll see the ethical implication. That sounds like me. But what's really, really cool is that it also provides references. So it will say, which blog will you find this in? So there's multiple blogs, of course, where I talk about code quality. I would expect the blogs about code quality, but as I said, the ethical one is also here, and the final one is like a conclusion. So I repeat all the points I've made. It includes that here as well.
What happens when you click the link? Does it link to that file, or?
There we go.
Yeah.
Great question.
At one point I like it. At the other hand, it means that you will always expose your full data source.
Correct. So that's actually a problem. You and I have talked about, I think, this, where specific specifically large language models are introducing all kinds of new security issues. So if I would have entered a password or a secret somewhere in the entire data set, and I could just ask the chat model, it doesn't know that it's not allowed to reveal it. So it's very important that you choose your data wisely. You need to actually engineer the input, which is no different from any kind of machine learning.
It would be specifically engineered for this task. So you cannot just take your data and put it in because...
No. Also, yes, because you are exposing that data to your users probably.
Yeah. Most of the time, not everything or every field or every property or...
Yeah, so you need to think about what you're exposing, but you should have thought about that before, because the files are probably already accessible for users. So you need to think about it again, because if you do it wrong this time, then you're screwed. Yeah, you're pretty screwed. I'm pretty sure also people are not listening to us currently, or we're paused because we're showing a top 10 of OS security weaknesses. People are reading this. Main thing is, yes, you need to be, it's really easy, so you need to think about what you're doing before you're really happy with the results. I actually showed that I uploaded a file which also has some comments.
Yeah. So
those comments are also visible. Not probably what you want. So you need to think about your files. So I think this is really, really powerful. I love that this basically answers a lot of questions, but it does require a lot of configuration and doing things right.
And introduces possible new problems, at least things to think about.
It's a new way of working for sure. Yeah. So if you don't have any questions, you guys can't ask any questions maybe below. So I think we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.